Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. We are playing Devil May Cry, or DmC Devil May Cry, or Emo Dante Devil May Cry. I'm your host, Andrew Reiner. I got Juba sitting next to me.
Hey, here I am.
He's going to be playing the game. He reviewed it for us. We can't give you the score yet until the embargo's up on probably the 15th when the game launches. This game felt like it was never going to come out for me for some reason. It just fell off my radar, and here it is. We're just pretty much on the eve of its release.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things too where it's like you almost get so wrapped up in what people are talking about in terms of the new Dante and how he looks, and you almost sort of forget about that the game is something that's going to come out very soon, and you'll be able to play it and see for yourself.
So are we playing from the beginning here?
So this is the demo that we're playing right now. So what we've got is what it does for us is gives you a little bit of a setup of cutscenes that happen prior to the mission that we're playing. So all of these things, what we're seeing right now is just sort of a previously on Devil May Cry, sort of what you need to know about where the story is.
Gotcha.
These are all because I think the mission that it has us playing isn't super far into the game, but it's after you get an assortment of Dante's naked. It's after you get an assortment of abilities and stuff, so you get a good taste for what the combat's going to feel like and stuff.
And this is the first Devil May Cry game developed by Ninja Theory. Mm-hmm. They did Heavenly Sword, Enslaved.
Yep.
This is their next project. Again, published by Capcom. It comes out January 15th, running on Unreal Engine 3. Joe, what are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, like we said, I can't get too much into it in terms of, the good and bad of the review, but you can definitely see Ninja Theory's previous experience sort of shining through in the game. It doesn't feel exactly like Heavenly Sword. I know there were some people who thought that game maybe wasn't precise enough. It felt a little too floaty or something, and I feel like they definitely tuned it up here for Devil May Cry. So if you're a longtime fan of the series like I am, you don't need to worry too much on that front. It feels like a Devil May Cry game,
and obviously when
is high praise given the concern, I think so.
And obviously when the game was announced, people freaked out at Dante not having white hair and looking a lot younger.
Yeah.
What's his story? Is he a decent character now?
I think opinions on this one are probably going to vary. For me, he looks a little different, but he feels like the same Dante.
Oh, that's great.
He swears a little bit more. That's one thing they really did in this game. They put in lots of F-bombs and stuff like that. It gets
That's kind of disappointing. He was the party dude. He was surfing on enemies, eating pizza.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's not that Dante. He's more Devil May Cry 1 Dante and less Devil May Cry 3 Dante.
Okay.
But with that being said, it's still he's still sort of got the one-liner for every occasion kind of thing, which what?
Now he just uses 4-letter words to describe things.
Well, no. I mean, he still has the old stuff too. They just sort of put in some of the swears. I mean, sometimes it does get a little annoying, I have to be honest, because it feels like they're trying a little too hard to be edgy with the language. But that aside, it's still, the attitude is still very similar. It's not like he doesn't feel like a completely different character.
So what I'm seeing already here is the grappling hook or whatever you're using there is very useful.
Yeah. I use the grapple a lot. There are two versions of it. One of it brings enemies to you, and another one teleports Dante towards the enemies. I'm trying to talk and play at the same time too, which is a little, not quite
not
the
easiest thing to do with a game like this.
Right, but it the hook is sort of a good combination. If you played as Virgil in Devil May Cry 3, if you like that, his style was a teleportation. Virgil added this sort of element of mobility to it that the series didn't have, where you could teleport near your enemies, and that's what these hooks. They followed it up with the Devil Bringer in Devil May Cry 4 also, to sort of give you a good way to sort of get into the fight, and so the hooks are sort of an extension of that, and it works. Yeah, it works really well. So what we're seeing, just to explain it a little bit here, when pressing either of the triggers, Dante uses his sword, his standard rebellion, signature weapon kind of thing. When you press left trigger, that puts you into a mode where you're using this angel scythe. So you're
Sweet.
This is a sort of low power, fast attack, like widespread sort of weapon. And then you've got, if you press right trigger, you've got your demonic weapon, which is the axe, which is a lot slower, but hits a lot heavier.
So you can have a combo using all three of them.
Right. And unlike like in Heavenly Sword, the way they did it was like if you were in like heavy mode, it wasn't super easy to do like a heavy attack, a light attack, a normal attack, a heavy attack, like to chain them together. You kind of wanted to stay in one mode for a little while. And on this one, you can totally like, well, I'll show you when we get to some more enemies. One of my favorite things is, you're shifting moves or shifting stances for single moves and then switching again. So it's really easy to go back and forth.
It looks like there's some kind of corruption taking over the world here.
Yeah, so that's another big awesome thing the game has going is this Dante's in limbo, which is kind of like this parallel reality, and it is outwardly hostile towards him. So it just sort of tries to, the world will collapse and try to crush him, and we'll see more of that in a minute here too. But it's just got this sort of.
So what you're saying is the world isn't very good at its job of trying to kill Dante.
Well, it's
just make everything disappear.
It's not good at it, but it keeps trying. Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things that's actually really impressive about the game is just, stuff like this happens a lot where the world is just sort of, deforming and making things difficult for you.
Now, one of my biggest criticisms of Enslaved was they had really dynamic platforming, or what appeared to be dynamic, but you just kind of tap the button. You couldn't really fail at it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How is the kind of vertical navigation and the grapple used in this?
It's not... The platforming, I wouldn't focus so much on the platforming in this. It was one of the weaker parts of previous Devil May Cry games. I don't think that's not an outrageous statement at all. And there is some of it in here, but it's
there's
not...
like special challenges that use it, right?
Yeah, well, and in the main game too, but at the same time, it's not... platforming does not feel as... it's certainly not as front and center as it was in Enslaved. And when it is in the game, to answer your question more directly, it's not a sort of snap to where immediately it just goes where you want to. You do need to aim. There is, skill involved in that sense.
And what about upgrades? That's been a big part of Devil May Cry, unlocking new moves.
Yeah.
Knowing when to spend your money on health items, stuff like that.
Yep. So basically what they have going in the game now is two different kinds of currency, which we can see down in the corner right there, or we could. One of them is red orbs, which are sort of the traditional Devil May Cry currency, and those let you buy things like, I think it's like health extensions and items and stuff that let you restore your health mid-mission and stuff like that. Your moves this time are not purchased with red orbs. You basically earn experience for fighting, and then whoa.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. You earn experience for fighting, and then... Whoa. Okay. And then when you hit a certain point, you earn a new upgrade. So then, with these just singular like upgrade points, you can buy any new move. They're not tiered. It's not like before when if a move cost 8,000 red orbs, you knew it was a good one or something. It's just like you can... the goal, I think, is really to give you an arsenal that you can sort of develop and customize your own playstyle with it. Like, for me, I bought this move, the Stinger followed up by Trillion Stabs. Like, I buy that right away. That's, like, my favorite move in Devil May Cry. But you can also buy things like... Let's see if I can set this going.
Well, sounds those guys make.
Like this... where after you do two axe swings, that's like a special move that you buy right there. That sort of third follow-up hit.
I don't like that sound. Sounds like someone stepping on a dog's tail or something.
Oh, here's an example of what I was saying before. So I'm gonna go into my demon stance to launch one of these guys, and then quick use the angel grab to go up in the air, and then do Well, I didn't get that done in time. But
Oh, sweet.
this dude with the chainsaw can be a problem. When guys go like all gold like that, they're basically invincible. So you have to be careful about that.
Is there a pretty good supply of stuff that you can unlock?
Oh yeah. There's a huge variety of different moves for each weapon. And like right now I have the sword, the axe, and the scythe, and there are even more weapons as the game goes on. I mean, I think they've revealed that you get like Dante gets the gauntlet thing again. So that's pretty cool.
It's good to see Limbo has liquor stores.
Whoa. Hey, you never know what you need. Sometimes demons just need some tequila.
Is this where all the characters from Lost ended up? You get to murder those guys?
Yeah, I won't be able to tell you that. I haven't seen that show yet. All right. So what we're doing now is kind of the extent of, like, this is the shape that platforming generally takes in this game. It's like, oh, there's something up there I need to get to.
Yeah, the reason I asked is just it seemed like the world was collapsing as soon as you'd run forward, and it seemed to make sense that there would be jump on a platform before it disappears or something like that.
And in those sections, I've definitely like died on those sections. It doesn't play for you.
One more.
Home run.
Home run.
So these are demonic. What are they, like? Jabba's palace, like that little eye on the front of the door.
Yeah, the idea I think is that they're these
Watchers.
Yeah, like in the real world they look like security cameras, but in Limbo you find out that they're actually these like weird eye demon things. There we go. I don't think there's no lost soul in here. There are various different collectibles that you can get during the level 2. Like there are these lost souls that are sort of writhing on the walls, and there are different keys and challenges and stuff. So in that way, there's a lost soul right there. So in that way, the game sort of gives you incentive to. That's not gonna work. Gives you incentive to replay, even after you win, because then you can go back and replay levels, and you will, you'll be able to hunt down all the collectibles and the keys and stuff like that. And what's nice about it is, I mean, like previous Devil May Cry games too, the state of your character at that point carries over. So if you're replaying level 1, you're still playing it with like an end game version of Dante. You don't have to go back to your level 1 self.
Yeah. And a big talking point with most Devil May Cry games is the difficulty.
Oh yeah.
Between installments. Where does this one kind of fall? What is the hardest one? 3 is the one everybody says is the most brutal?
3 is the most brutal. This is not that bad on its default difficulty, but with that being said, like, you can make it really hard. This game has a lot of difficulty levels. So what I'll say is that when it starts out, when you first begin, you have three options for difficulty. It's like human, devil hunter, and Nephilim. If you've played Devil May Cry before, like if you've beaten the other games, you will want to start on Nephilim, on the most difficult, default one. Yep.
What did you start on? You started on the normal one, and then
I started on Devil Hunter and was like getting S's on all my missions, and realized that maybe it was time for me to, to really get a sense of what the game has to offer. Probably crank it up a little more for myself.
And then once you beat the game, you unlock.
And then once you beat the game, you unlock Son of Sparta, which I played a little bit also. And then, but then after that, you get you get Son of Sparta, and then you get Dante Must Die, which is a classic one too. And then they also have the Heaven or Hell mode, which is which basically everything, including Dante, dies in one hit. So you can, that's just kind of a fun way to play, where it's like, if you can hit a dude before they hit you, you win. But after that is where the really ridiculous one comes in, because after that you unlock Hell or Hell mode, which Dante still dies in one hit, but everything else has normal health.
That's not fair.
Yeah. So, and of course, I mean, I'm sure that the best unlockables and stuff are things you get for beating Hell or Hell, but I don't know if that's going to happen for me. I'm sure someone out there is going to do it, but I'm not that someone.
Really like what's going on in the environments in this.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, I'm not going to say that this is like constant every level, all of this stuff is happening, but it is like stuff like this happens frequently enough so that like the environments never feel like they're getting stale. Like, you know, it doesn't feel like you're wandering around the same castle endlessly or anything like that.
Well, it's got to be a pretty nerve-wracking time at Capcom, I would imagine, these days, after reinventing Res Evil, which some people really liked it, but I would say that just from what I've read and seen of
it was divisive.
reactions,
It was divisive, yeah.
a lot of people didn't like it either. And here we have another game that's kind of being reinvented to a certain degree with a new developer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't predict the future or anything, but given how much I enjoyed this game, I find it difficult that there's going to be a huge outcry among fans that it's not what they were hoping, or what they would expect from the series,
Maybe just the cosplayers who bought the white wig and now can't use the white wig anymore, now have to track down a black one. They might be a little upset.
Yeah. Well, Virgil's still in the game. They can be Virgil instead.
Yeah. So Virgil is just DLC, right?
No,
or pre-order bonus.
Virgil is in the game as a character no matter what.
Playable?
No, but he plays a critical part in the story. And if you want playable Virgil, yeah, there's a pre-order exclusive DLC.
Church.
That. Yeah, I mean, I actually haven't played that yet, so I don't know what that's going to entail.
And those are the only two playable characters then?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say too much about it.
All right. Some secrets.
Well, it's not
some
even
surprises.
Well, it's not that there is. It's not that there is or there isn't. I'm not saying anything about it. It's just if I say Dante's the only playable character, then that's a spoiler, and if I say he's not, that's a spoiler. So I'm just not going to comment on it.
I just saw Cortana there. So a Halo crossover.
Yeah, I mean, and they do have a lot of nods to old enemies from the series too. Like they have nods to the old like Shadow Cat thing and stuff like that. So I mean, there's clearly.
Is that Bill Gates? Is he the last boss?
You can feel. Oh, I didn't even use Devil Trigger. I sucked too bad to set it up. Maybe. Anyway, so that's.
Well, there it is. January 15th. Pick your language of choice. Joe, thanks for joining us, and Jason A. Stryker for producing and editing this video. We'll see you all in our next Chess Chamber, everyone.